All right, hello everyone. I am Matthew Parnell with ecoastwine.com, and I'm here to talk to you today about East Coast wines, or more specifically, why should you care about them? And we live in a world of wine today where they are absolutely everywhere. You know, you get wines from Europe, Central America, Africa, Australia, basically every continent on Earth. I don't know what just happened.
You did great at your practice round.
Oh, is that what?
Okay, ready?
All right, Europe, Australia, Africa, basically every continent on Earth except for Antarctica, but hey, with global warming, give it time. But of course, there's wines from everywhere. They're very delicious. I'm personally a huge fan of Italian wines. And of course, a bit closer to home, you have the wines of the West Coast, California, Washington, Oregon, and some on the East Coast. To a lesser extent, a lot of people do know about New York, but on the East Coast, there's a far larger and more diverse selection of wines than just that. And with that comes a great history. Like in Florida, where the Spanish colonists came in and found an abundance of naturally grown grapes in the state. And this attracted Huguenot settlers who made the first batch of wine in America in 1565. And they apparently were quite good. And then we move on to Virginia, with the Virginia Company's Act 12 in 1619 requiring all colonists to grow 20 vines per male household head. And this was enforced with pretty harsh penalties. And of course, with Virginia and with Monticello the other night, you have to talk about Thomas Jefferson, an avid lover of wine, who cultivated Monticello for about good 30 years, unfortunately to no success, which always saddens me. And, went a little quick on that one. Then going a bit further north to Maryland and their first wines in 1648. And of course, you can't talk about Maryland without John Alden, who worked with the hybrid Catawba and also wrote the very first book on wine in the United States back in the early 1800s. Then New York, 17th century winemaking, and of course the wonderful, still functioning winery of Brotherhood, which is America's oldest winery. And you also have Pleasant Valley Wine Company, which has the honor of being the first legally bonded winery in America. So what about style? As you all know, with the New World, you get high alcohol contents, typically bigger, bold flavors, more fruity, heavier oaks. These are, of course, gross generalizations. And then you move on into the old world of wine, which are more focused on terroir, a bit more delicate and subtle, low alcohol, higher minerality, again, generalizations. So what kind of style is it that you get here on the East Coast? We have what I like to call the East Coast middle. There we go. We generally have a higher acidity, more fruit flavors, typically medium oak wines, moderate alcohols, again, generalization. But we tend to have wines that are a good bridge or middle ground between the old and the new world. But of course, with our diversity of climates, we can make wines in almost any style you want. Virginia, we make some great Italian and French. North Carolina with some great Bordeaux-style wines. In New York with German Rieslings, things like that. And of course, being the East Coast, we have a lot of wonderful native grapes, which, due to their flavor profiles like Norton, have to have their own unique style of winemaking to go with them, because they don't always work with particular styles, especially with Muscadines, a favorite of mine. And this style has led to quite a bit of recognition. Even back in Florida, when the British took it over in 1763, they put large bounties on wine and started exporting Florida wine over into Europe, as it reminded them of English wines. Then you move about 100 years down the road, you get Virginia Norton and a New York Champagne winning awards at the Vienna World Fair. And then just a few years down the road, another Virginia Norton winning at the Paris World Fair. But hey, this is a long time ago. What about some modern awards? Well, you get places like Seabreeze Winery in Florida winning a gold medal at the San Diego Wine Competition in '06. And there are hundreds more examples like this, far too many to put on this presentation here. And then, of course, you also have international recognition. Same thing here, tons of awards. My personal favorite, though, being the '07 Vinopolis wine tasting in London, where Virginia wines received rave reviews from European wine professionals and reviewers. And this recognition has led to exports. That Vinopolis led to a huge amount more exports of Virginia wines over to England. New York in the past year has had more exports into Canada, and multiple states along the East Coast are either now actively exporting or beginning to export into the Asian market. So why is it you should remember East Coast wines? We have a history that goes back hundreds of years that has developed a rich style and a beautiful quality of wine that is recognized world renowned now. And that, my friends, is why you should remember East Coast wines. Again, I'm Matthew Parnell from eastcoastwines.com. And always remember everyone, do what you love and love what you drink.